sense. And we'll continue with the German campaign. In the German campaign, there wasn't really any sense of international issues as such. It was basically the second order election in which you saw a continuation of a long-term trend away from the big two parties towards the smaller parties. And I can't really tell what people voted for or against, except perhaps some people went to the Liberal Party, the FDP, because of the reaction of the government to the financial crisis. In the Netherlands, the campaign also saw a continuation or a resurgence of all trends. Basically, the big victory for the Wilders Party, PVV, is something we've had before in the Netherlands with the party of Pim Fortuyn. So in that sense, also the electoral campaign in the Netherlands was quite isolated from what happened elsewhere in Europe. So I think that at least with Germany, Europe, and the UK, Germany, the Netherlands, and the UK, you see that the campaigns continue to be very national, and the elections continue to be second-order elections in which the public basically reacts to what's going on in national politics.
Well, there's a bit of a pattern, because also, like some of the other people on the panel, I'm from one country, but I'm living in another country. So I'm from the UK, and John's already talked about that. But I'm living in Italy, and the coverage there, it contrasts a bit with the UK, because there was a series of scandals in Italy to do with Berlusconi, which the effect was completely different. He seems to be sort of completely resistant to scandals, and it didn't really have. There was this media firestorm in the UK, which probably increased electoral turnout in the elections. It sort of bounced off Berlusconi, that sort of thing. There was some bribery, there was something to do with an 18-year-old's birthday party which he attended, which was, he said he knew the parents or something and was babysitting or something bizarre. And then there was a big sort of messy divorce as well. But no, there wasn't really a campaign in Italy. There were a series of local elections going on beforehand, which got a lot of coverage, and in Italy there's so many parties and so many candidates standing. In one small, I'm from Trento, but I live in Trento, but there's a small town where something like 30% of the population of the town were standing for election in these local elections. Gives you an idea of how sort of swamped people are with elections and campaign materials. So there was no campaigning on the European elections until practically the day of the election. Or just the day before. It didn't really exist. And I think this might be a pattern which is repeated around the rest of Europe. It was sort of ignored until it was almost upon us, and it was sort of too late, because at that point no one had any idea about the issues, and they're suddenly being asked to vote about them. So yeah, that's my impression.
One of the things I've been wondering, or I've been waiting for, were European campaigns by European parties. I must say I'm very disappointed about what was going on, and maybe I should ask the only open politically affiliated here, especially about the European Socialists. They have started quite early to do something which looked like an opening for a European campaign with the manifesto consultations. Their website was on a year ago almost, if I'm not mistaken, and now we have seen that the European Socialists are the big losers apparently of elections. So can you say what went wrong?
Yeah, okay. I've been involved in the campaigns of the Party of European Socialists one way or another over the last 2 years or so. It's important to highlight that there's a tension between the European level of the Party of European Socialists and the member parties of the Party of European Socialists. Essentially, the Party of European Socialists, after the last elections where they didn't do too well in 2004, wanted to try to create an activist network to do an online consultation about their manifesto. All of that was quite good, got a lot of people involved, built networks of activists among the socialists across Europe. The problem then came was when it then came to the party leaders, and everything broke down in the autumn when José Sócrates, the Portuguese Prime Minister, who's supposed to be from the centre-left, got his mate Zapatero, he and the two of them had a press conference and said that they were going to back José Manuel Barroso as Commission President. So basically, in one press conference, that killed the idea, essentially, that there was some kind of developing consciousness on the left. And it pitted the national parties, most notably in Portugal and Spain, and then also backed by Gordon Brown in the UK, against the efforts of the Party of European Socialists in Brussels. We then had this weird situation where Poul Nyrup Rasmussen, the president of the Party of European Socialists, said they wanted to have a candidate as president of the European Commission, but he couldn't say who that would be because he'd been kind of put in a corner by the national parties. There's also a tension in Brussels that the president of the Party of European Socialists, Rasmussen, dislikes quite strongly Martin Schulz, who's the leader of the socialist group in the parliament as well, so that doesn't help. And then there are differences also in terms of policy stance between kind of flexicurity in the Nordic countries versus kind of rules-based 35-hour working week and so on. So broadly speaking, you can't, however much you network your activists together, you can't make up for the fact that if the party leaders hate each other and don't have a coherent message, there's not that much that can actually be done in order to rectify the situation. I do think, at least looking to 2014, that at least the socialists should learn the lesson that they should be able to put forward a candidate for Commission President in time for 2014. But it's going to get a lot worse yet. Also, you may have read this week that the socialist group in the European Parliament is going to be rebranding into ASDE, the Alliance of Social Democrats in Europe, which for the British and Irish among us sounds a bit like a supermarket, ASDA. So it seems that the kind of coherence of the communication hasn't yet been learned even after the bad election.
Did anyone notice any other European parties doing anything which would have the term European campaigning? Yes?
Actually, the Greens did an effort in Hungary to gain a seat because they have never done that before. They didn't succeed though, but they sort of had a Europeanistic campaign. They had foreign MEPs campaigning in Hungary, and also there was a lot of enthusiasm coming from NGOs, green NGOs, that probably they will have a party. I just want to make one very short remark about John's argument. I think that Europe still is a mix of very different countries where the local politics, or the focus of the local politics is very different and biased. I think there are a lot of countries which are much more to the right in the values of the population, and there are countries who are much more to the left. If you think Mr. Barroso comes from a party that used to have a center-left identity, still he's in the center-right now. I think that's also true of a lot of former communist countries, so those countries that were coming from collectivist times in Western Europe. These socialist parties would really go for the EPP, so the center-right in their policies and politics. And I think that the European party system just doesn't help this system to be cleared out. In the US, you have a two-party system, and everybody has a relatively right and a relatively left platform to campaign on in different states, and those candidates can be very different. So the Southern Democrat can be very different from the Northern one, but you don't have too much room for that in Europe. So I think that these party groups are still in the forming. Probably the fact that the Conservatives are leaving from the European People's Party is bad for Europe, but it's good for at least have clear party groups that have something in common.
Just a very short thing. If Daniel talked about the Greens, I think that might be the only party that tried, at least in Germany and to a certain extent in France, managed to campaign on European issues, although not very bold, but at least they tried. And in Germany, at least, they were very successful. In France as well. Even in the UK, they got a couple of two promised, I mean, I went to a lot of events in the run-up of the elections, and the Liberals were always